Logan, no cries here.
There was a period in my life when I had, you'd almost think everything. I had a beautiful house in Glasgow, about 10 rooms. I had a wing of Culzean Castle. I had a Rolls Royce, and I had my own theatre. And I was saying to myself, Logan, you're the loneliest man in the world. It doesn't really mean that you have everything when you have these particular material things. Nothing can beat the joy of hearing people laugh.
Dave's on the wood programmes. No, they can't do that. That's just...
Two beginners for your callings, Mr. Logan and
I mean, I always call Jimmy the godfather of Scottish showbiz. You name it, the man's done it.
I'm very fond of Jimmy. I mean, he really is a most honourable man. You can't say that about everybody in our business.
He was the James Bond of the 40s and 50s.
Very tall, very good looking, and dressed very well, you know, and he had this tremendous warmth.
He's both a terrific actor and he's a terrific man. He's the epitome of the show must go on.
Wig, my hair.
Please take your seats as this evening's performance will begin in 1 minute.
You shouldn't be here, you know. You see, the audience will tell you if you're any good. You know, you can plan it, work it out, you can say that should get a laugh and everything, but the audience will tell you. And the closer you get to the time of the curtain going up, the more you convince yourself that it's very unfunny. Very unfunny.
I'll have to take my coat off. It's sticking to my civet. Thank you. I'm halfway between my blue heaven and paradise. Oh.
This is Jimmy Logan's 40th season in Panto. Born 67 years ago into a music hall family, Jimmy was on stage before he could walk.
Here is the song that my mother and father first sang together in 1919. Just 7 days from Sunday.
His parents, Jack Short and May DL, met at an open-air concert party in Helensburgh and formed the variety act Short and DL. The third of 5 children, Jimmy was just 7 when he started touring with the family show.
Just a wee joke and it's just a wee drop, that's all.
We were all doing our individual things in the show. I was a comic, my mother was a comedian, my father produced the show, Buddy sang, my brother Bertie was the xylophone player, probably, I hope he's not listening, God bless you Bertie, the world's worst. There was my sister Heather, who was with us, wee Tumshy she was in that time. And then there was my sister Annie. Now, you see, I didn't see Annie until she was 17.
I gotta split. Chip, chip, chip. Wanna go. Chip, chip, chip. Gotta go. Chip, chip, chip. That's it. That's it. That's it. Man.
The Logan family went to New York when Jimmy's sister Annie was 4½. She won a talent contest for a 6-month contract with MGM Studios and stayed on with her aunt Ella Logan, a famous Broadway star. The war intervened, so Annie grew up in Hollywood. She didn't see her own family again until she returned to Scotland when she was 17.
I was very nervous, and I was the last one off the plane. And I saw this crowd of people there. And I thought, they have to be mine. It was a bit overwhelming, but I immediately felt a warmth and a kind of protectiveness from my brother, from Jim. And we've been close ever since. I was just thinking, Jim, here we are in Malibu, and it could be Danoon.
Well, the seagulls are like the noon, I know that much anyway. And it's nice
And
to
it's
hear the
cold, it's freezing. I should have brought my thermals.
wave. You think so?
Yeah. This is called Paradise Cove.
Is it?
Who would have thought, Jim, we'd be walking down the beach in Paradise Cove? He's an actor, a director, a comedian, a producer, a piano player, a singer, and he's my brother, Jimmy Logan.
Liza Minnelli invited us all to her apartment, and we sat round the piano till 5 in the morning, listening to Tony Bennett singing, Annie Ross singing, Cy Coleman singing, Liza Minnelli singing, Carol Channing singing, you know. And I thought, I can't believe this. They'll never believe me.
They'll never believe me.
Is that a good key for you?
No.
I didn't think it was. And then, of course, Annie said, come on, Jim, you got to sing. I said, oh, Donald. You couldn't sing Donald, Where's Your Trousers? It wasn't quite right.
Get to bed.
Do you know, your eyebrows have always intrigued me.
What?
Yeah, they used to be very black and thick.
Huh?
I don't know what it's a sign of. I think it's a kind of...
Well, my eyebrows have been altered slightly because...
How?
Well, if I'm doing dame, I have to sort of cut them back a wee bit. For a woman, Carrie.
And round a bit so that I can
Sorry.
see you doing it.
I draw the actual eyebrow I'm going to use above the original, which helps the kind of feminine look.
I see. But what do you do about your ears? You've got such thick lugs.
Well, thanks very
I mean, they
much.
look as though you've stuck them on.
At least I haven't got your nose.
Well, he was absolutely gorgeous. All the girls thought he was just the bee's knees. Beautifully coiffured hair, dark, you know, and a very chiselled face, lovely eyes. He was very tall and broad, you know, what I like in a man, the Hollywood good looks. Alas, he was married, so, and he wouldn't wait for me, so...
Grace came from a theatre family too. Her mother and father were dancers, and we were married very young. I mean, you know, I think I was 18, she was about 17. My father gave us a bedroom suite, which was wonderful, but he didn't explain that it didn't include the mattress and the spring. So we slept on the floor between the ends of the beds until I could afford to buy the mattress and spring. And then suddenly, they were coming up for the premiere of Flood Tide.
And she'll pinch the sweetie coupons out your ration book and all.
Tim Brogan, you impudent devil!
You should see me when I get going at Barrowland. Oh, boy. I'm a hot stuff. I know them cold. What's Barrowland? What's Barrowland? Davy, there's a couple of smashers, eh? Where? Yeah, the lassie in the green dress and the wee blonde. You fancy your chance with that lot? What's your name, Bright Eye?
Rosie Down.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's an awful nice sound like our boyfriend?
You think so?
Flood tide made Jimmy Scotland's new young movie star. He was offered jobs in the US and London, but chose to stay in Scotland, performing with the family and working for the BBC.
It's all yours.
Here you are, it's all yours.
It's All Yours became a national institution, famed and frowned upon for its bad language.
You can say what you like, fellas. Sausages is the boys.
If you want me, thing me, ring me.
Sausages is the boys.
Sausages is the boys.
Lovely biscuits. Oh,
What'd the boss say, Hector?
oh, lovely biscuits.
Biscuits? Lovely, lovely biscuits.
It was on a Monday night, and most women would say, I'm always doing my ironing, and I listen to it. They always seem to be ironing on a Monday night.
Oh, hello, sir. Are you Mr. Fraser? I'm Sammy Dree.
Yes, I can see that.
Whenever you're looking for a man with extra special qualifications, remember?
Yes.
Sausages is the boys.
So if you want me thing, me, ring me.
I had a dresser at Citizens who lived in the Gorbals called Nan, and she had a very bad memory and could never think of what to say. And she would just say, oh, your thing, the thing, me bob for your ears. And they came up with Bella Vague, who sort of bore down on Jimmy Logan, and she would say, well, I must be on my way now, but don't forget I'm in the books. If you want me thing, me, ring me. Which went into, everybody was saying it.
Miss Mulligan here, Miss Mulligan.
Oh, gosh. Baxter here. Yes, this is the office of Jimmy Logan, star of stage, screen and radio, and trying his darndest to get into television.
The writers thought it would be fun to build up a kind of enmity between us. In other words, we'd keep rubbishing each other. And this built up and up and up and up. And people started to believe that it existed in life. One night when I think I'd just played buttons and I was coming up the stage door of the Theatre Royal, and there were two wee lassies of about 15 waiting at the stage door for me. They said, we're Jimmy Logan fans. Just watch yourself.
Do you remember when you gave a party in your house when your parents were alive, when you lived in the West End of Glasgow? Do you remember?
Well, I gave a few parties then.
You did a dance with your father, and your mother was sitting there laughing her head off.
I did a dance.
You did a dance with your father.
Well, he'd only one leg, so it must have been an interesting dance.
It was.
He was a character. He was a character.
I always thought your father was a wee bitty jealous of you, Jimmy.
Jealous?
Yeah.
I think Jack Short, his father, didn't want him to leave the family. I mean, he knew that he was a star attraction and naturally didn't want him to leave and go to Howard and Wyndham.
Following his success at the BBC, Jimmy was offered a contract with top theatrical producers Howard and Wyndham. He decided to leave the Logan family and join their famous 8:05 variety show.
And there was a phone call from the Express, and he said, Jimmy, your father says he's going to sue you if you leave. I said, no, that's a mistake. I mean, my father knows it. He said, and it was the front page in the papers. A photograph of the family. I'll sue him if he leaves, says Dad. What I did was I said, all right, every week I'm away from you, I will pay you something like £100 a week or something like this, you know. So he accepted that.
On Saturday night for many, it's off to the Alhambra Theatre to see 8:05, starring Jimmy Logan and Stanley Baxter. From the policeman on duty to the helpful car park attendant who solves your parking problem, all provide a welcome to 8:05.
Every kind of magic is around. When you go to a show business store. Evening. Beat the drum, bang
Come on, let the neighbors complain. We're feeling so happy, we're walking in.
He was an ad-libber. I'd never have been an ad-libber. And Jimmy was very, very good at all that. He just never wanted to get back to the text. It was unbelievable. It used to panic me a bit. One night, a man in the front row realised that it was all throw-in lines that I had not anticipated. And when he got to about the 12th one, a man in the front row said, "Oh, give up, Logan." he had sussed.
Matters a howler, for what does it matter? Let us live and love, all we are together
But I was in the Alhambra Theatre in Glasgow, watching the 8:05 show with Jimmy Logan. I remember the joy in my heart that somebody could be funny in my accent. Somebody could be funny with my slang. And it had a profound effect on me. And I must say, I wouldn't be a comedian today, I don't think, if it wasn't for that.
Get a fag. Don't smoke. Giving it up. And I'm desperate to...
You know, I've always been meaning to ask you, can you walk yet?
Sure! But not in front of them. They'd have you walking all day. But you know something that really gets them like that? Whimper. Whimper. Nice and quiet, a nice wee... They think you're dying. They get you to bed, you see, and you just wait till they're halfway out the door. And then... the number of dances I've ruined.
Now a star attraction, Jimmy was soon performing all over the world. Offstage, he was famed for playing up his image as Scotland's sophisticated Hollywood-style star. He lived in a wing of Culzean Castle, flew his own plane, and had a Rolls-Royce.
I was working with the Logan family, minus Jimmy, in the Gaiety Theatre in Leith. Jimmy was summoned to come. He was the big star now. And he lined us all up on the stage during the day, you know. And I'll never forget it, he had the camel coat over his shoulders and the cigarette holder. And he was smoking away. He'd obviously seen a lot of these black and white movies, you know, about musicals and Broadway and all that, Ziegfeld, you know, he'd be walking up there and says, "Now, I believe a certain amount of slackness has crept in here. I'm not very happy about it."
He was the sort of Errol Flynn, I believe, of the time. Though, of course, being a child, I didn't really know what was, what was going on. But it seemed to me to be my ideal of a Hollywood star.
I've been all over the world. I've done 5 coast-to-coast tours of Canada and America, and Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and I've played the Carnegie Hall in New York and London Palladium. I've done quite a few wee things. I've never known a theatre I didn't fall in love with.
To top it all, in 1964, he bought the Old Empress Theatre in Glasgow and renamed it Jimmy Logan's Metropole.
I remember I had to sign a cheque for something like £42,000. My hands were shaking. I couldn't sign Jimmy Logan. I had to practice the signature. And I bought the Metropole on a kind of hire purchase thing, you know. I said, I'll have it paid by a certain time. And for the first 2 or 3 years, things were very, very good.
I would like to take you to lunch, he said. I'll pick you up. He had a great big Rolls Royce in those days, and the guy with the peaked bonnet, you know, what do you got? Chauffeur, Una, chauffeur, dear. And so he said, we'll drive past the theatre, he said, and if there's a queue round the theatre for the box office, we'll go to the Malmaison. If there's no queue, we'll go to the Greasy Spoon or something like that. So we drove past, and sure enough, there was a great big queue, so we went to the Malmaison.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gina Frattini collection.
Jimmy's second wife was top fashion designer Gina Frattini. They married in typically glamorous style in the Bahamas.
It was a very exciting time, as the 60s was. It seemed to sort of rush through the country, the excitement. Jimmy likes life, you know, he just likes everything. I don't mean in excess, but I mean big and good, you know.
The thing about being married to one of the top British fashion designers was that she used to make the most beautiful costumes for pantomime. Gina's costumes. They had class. Mind you, this isn't too bad either.
I mean, it was really hysterical. I've made stuffed bras with things, but actually I made some quite glamorous things. He looked really quite good. But it was a bit strange making women's clothes for one's husband. I must say that was a bit odd.
I'd spent a lot of money on the theatre and I had a wonderful staff. And that was one of the happiest times of my life. We used to work till 4 in the morning, lighting a show. And these guys that were lighting the show had other jobs.
People who had never been to the theatre in their lives were going to the Metropole. He was putting on Treasure Island, Peter Pan.
Your Granny's a Cowboy, Peas, Bros and Pianos. These were the names of the shows that went up every week. The chain to pro. Can you imagine it? Your Granny's a Cowboy, you know. Where's your Cameron McIntosh and your Andrew Lloyd Webber now?
One of the great things about doing hair in Glasgow was that, and it became one of the best 6 months of my life, it was a completely wild cast, and everyone was smoking pot and hanging out from the rafters, and the audience were completely wild. And it's the only time I ever tried drugs, I remember, up there.
For 9 months here, I brought it. Everybody thought it was wonderful. My granny wouldn't come and see it. No.
Glasgow sort of got redesigned, you know, and the Metropole got left in this little island, sort of no man's land, and it was desperately sad.
Jimmy fought hard to keep the Metropole alive, even running the world's first mobile booking office. But times were hard in the entertainment business, and ticket sales eventually dwindled. His financial worries were a world away from Gina's thriving fashion career in London. Gradually, they drifted apart.
I was up in Scotland and I'd fly down. I'd arrive on a grey day with a grey face and all my worries and things, you know. That didn't help.
One's work does take over completely if you're dedicated like he is. And like I am, I suppose.
This is the end of a beautiful friendship. It ended a moment ago.
I woke up one morning and a lot of problems. And the bank saying, look, Mr. Logan, your overdraft has reached £170,000. Don't come in for any money on Friday. And I had a show in at the time. You know, it took me many years to try and sort that whole situation out.
He's tried more things than most people in our business, and whether they've succeeded or failed, he's always just picked himself up and got on.
You can come and see the baby if you care to call. You'll find him by his mommy in a wee white shawl. He looks so cute and swanky like a dumpling in a hanky, and we're going to call him William Angus Jimison Jock McCall.
That looks a bit more like it. I'll just give her a hand with her bags. Allow me.
Oh, Tom. Be careful, it's not very well fastened.
The move from comedy to straight stage roles proved no problem. As Willie Loman in John Osborne's Death of a Salesman, Jimmy gave a critically acclaimed performance.
Jimmy Logan is outstanding in the lead role.
He has perhaps produced the performance of a lifetime. A huge landmark in his burgeoning career as a serious actor.
Utterly convincing.
And there were rave reviews when he played Archie Rice, the failed music hall artist, in The Entertainer.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Archie Rice is a name. Mrs. Rice's favourite boy here. We're all going to have a lovely night out. We're all going to enjoy ourselves. So don't worry about it.
People were genuinely seeing Jimmy Logan and the Entertainer. So they were going along. And Jimmy was actually, he was playing a third-rate entertainer, not being funny. The scripts were corny, they were written that way. And they were actually going to say, what's happened to Jimmy at all? Seen him a lot funnier. So really, in some ways, it's, you take a big chance when you switch over.
How's Jeannie?
Fine. Helen?
Fine, fine. We're trying Spain for our holidays this year. It's a chartered flight. Malaga.
You're made of money.
Not really. It's not too expensive. You're there in no time.
Do you not feel, I mean, you of all people, George, do you not feel a bit of a traitor taking the plane?
It's the future.
And we're in the past, you mean?
We're done, Ronnie.
It's just so good to watch him work on the stage because he has such great ease and relaxation. He's at home in front of an audience, and that's the great sign that is a blazing sign on performers that are really good, is that they seem at home, more at home on the stage than they are in a room at a function.
Anyone want red wine?
Red wine,
What
you
about
want,
you?
my
Yeah.
dear? Do you remember, Jimmy? You very kindly, Lex and I, asked us for Christmas dinner. After the show, and we all sat down and we got our drinks and we sat down just waiting on the turkey getting carried in. And a huge bottle of Chianti, but it was a pressure bottle opener. So he stuck the thing in the top, pushed the button, and the whole thing exploded. Jimmy, as ever, in charge. Salt! Get salt! Into the kitchen, no enough salt. Jimmy, right, there's a fish and chip shop open down the road. They have salt.
There's one or two women sitting with their mouths shut. It's a long time since I've seen that. Now we'll take it. And I go in there, and there's a very beautiful girl there. And she said, well, we have to share the dressing room.
Oh, jeez, you thought.
So being a big smoothie, I said, of course. And I lifted the lid of this basket. It's full of snakes. I said, that's my act, she says. I do a snake act. I said, I'll just change on the side of the stage. How do you like my house coat? I'm semi-detached. Does anybody want sweeties? Just a minute.
I think his greatest joy is from hearing children laugh and seeing pleasure in their faces.
That was great. Keep that up now. Keep it up, that's
So
important.
when are you on next?
Hey, I'm going on just right now, after the explosion. And don't go near there on the explosion, because it blows your ears off. It's murder.
I think my brother would like to have had 12 children.
At the age of 57, Jimmy married for the third time and fulfilled his lifelong desire to have children when his wife gave birth to twins.
When the twins were born, I think that was, of course, one of the joys of life. I couldn't believe that this was possible. They were adorable, just adorable. I phoned up relatives, I phoned America, I phoned everywhere. Got up the next morning, everything's fine. And I was all right, I got down to the front door and I thought, I'll be carrying my son through that door. And I drove up the road and I stopped in a wee side street and a wee, lovely Glasgow granny came up and said, oh, son. That was me, I couldn't speak.
4 years later, while Jimmy was performing nightly, he and his wife separated. She left, taking the children with her.
He was going through a really, really rough time, and you wouldn't have known that anything was going on. But just occasionally I would pass him in the wings, and I would see a very, very sad face. But he would never let a production down because of his feelings.
When the twins were 7, Jimmy discovered he was not their real father.
A lot of pain. A lot of pain. But we've got through it.
You still see them?
Oh yes, yes, I still see them, and we've got a great relationship. They call me Jimmy, and they throw their arms around me, and I love them very much, very, 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 very much.
Jimmy had a dreadful, dreadful, dreadful time. I mean, I don't know how he managed to survive it, because he absolutely adored those children. But then out of that, you see, came Angela, and she's the best thing that's ever happened to him. She thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and she's Mother Earth.
Coco?
This is Coco.
What does he do?
He's just there to comfort you.
Oh, I see.
You know, when you need someone to talk
Does
to.
he cheer me when I come on?
When a show's coming up, and he gets maybe a bit uptight or he's very busy, you have to learn to gear yourself towards that, and always to have him at the centre of my life. Men like Jimmy Logan are very, very rare.
Get out of that water. Gone and lost your ball. It's another expensive day.
And he's a delight and a joy to be with and to look after. I love ironing his shirts. I love making his meals. When he's away from home, I re-iron his shirts because it's a connection with him.
Little John, you know something? I fancy you.
I've retired, but I don't see Jimmy ever doing that. No, I mean, it's his bread in the bone, you see, with Jimmy.
How many more years would you say you've got?
I hope I've got a few more years to go.
I think so.
I'd like to get to 70. When I was 70, I think what I'd like to do is my wife and I just to get a caravan and go away to France, and just for a while to take the pressure off, and then come back and say, what are we going to do now? You know, there's a lot to do, a lot to enjoy. I've a bit more damage to do yet.
I think you have too.
More and I jump on the floor. Come on, everybody, stand up and jump on the floor. Stand up. Come on, everybody, come on. Come on. Come on. You can see all the women for bears dancing. I'm not going to do that. All right, we'll try it all together and see if we can get the message through to him anyway. Right. Oh, when I see you, my heart starts to beat right. The soles of my feet go.